AP, what's it like being in the saddle on a morning like this, riding a gallop? How often do you do it?
I ride out most mornings at home. You know, even though all I ever wanted to be was a jockey, and just because I retired nearly 6 years ago, I like riding. I obviously loved riding professionally. I loved, you know, I loved what I did for the amount of time that I did do it, but it all was because I loved riding horses, and just because I retired didn't mean to say I was just going to stop riding. I love riding in the morning, so it's good for the head and it keeps you sort of relatively fit and sane.
Does it make you wish you were riding in the afternoons as well?
Yeah, it does. I mean, there's always times, you know, when you watch racing and you look at horses running and you think, you know, I'd love to be still a jockey, but every sport.
I could have done that so much better.
Yeah, yeah, of course I do. I basically think that all the time. But you know, I think as a sports person, you know, they often say a sports person is the only one that dies twice. Once retirement, it's not coming back, so you have to accept that and just move on and enjoy it the best you can, and feel very lucky and privileged that you're able to do it for as long as you are, and I do feel that way.
How's the body?
Yeah, the body's pretty good. You'll find it very hard to believe, but in the last month I've been training every night. I run 7.5k. I spent 45 minutes in the gym, and I do actually, because I was really fat during Cheltenham last year. I was 12.10, which was embarrassing. And,
I had to keep smacking his hand out of the chocolate.
And yeah, so I got myself in good. And I was having a little problem with my back. I've got 2 metal plates and 4 screws either side of my T9 to T12 vertebrae. I thought one of the screws was kind of loose for a little while, so. But it's good now, and it's good to keep, you know, it's good to keep fit mentally and physically.
Just give us a scan overview. Start from here going down in terms of bits of metal in your body.
Broke my cheekbone. Obviously, I got 25 stitches in my lip and nose in Weatherby one Friday afternoon. Got all my front teeth knocked out, so I've had 11 implants and 2 bone grafts since then. I broke my right arm, my right wrist, all my ribs, my sternum, my shoulder blades, my collarbones, my T9 to T12, L4 and 5 I did in about 96, and I broke my right tibia and fibia. Sorry, my left tibia and fibia. Just thinking, yeah. So I broke my left tibia and my right ankle.
Is that it?
So yeah. So no, it wasn't too bad considering, you know, that, you know, I rode in nearly 18,000 races, like, so. And a lot of people, you know, you often think about, to say, a jump jockey. I actually think I got better at coping with it as I got older.
Did you get better at falling?
No.
Did you learn how to fall?
Well, yeah, you probably do how to learn. I think you. What I got as I got older, I became I realised how important it was to be alert and to be fit and to be sharp, so that your reactions are quicker, because it's all about reactions when you hit the ground. You know, I broke my arm. I broke my arm in Worcester during the week of Royal Ascot in 2003, and I think I broke it because my reactions were slow. You know, for whatever reason, it was the middle of summer, there wasn't much racing, and I just don't think I was as sharp as I would have been in the winter time. And pretty much from then on, my mindset changed a lot towards my fitness and how alert I was.
Fell, or that's why you broke the arm?
I think that's why I broke the arm, because I wasn't quick enough at getting it. I put my arm out and it snapped on pretty fast ground.
What should you have done?
I think I should have got my arm tucked up and got my shoulder into the ground. It would have taken the ball better.
Okay.
So, you know, so you do learn how to cope with it, and I genuinely believe that I got better at falling. I got better at coping with injuries. I knew that there was 2 ambulance coming behind me. If I was riding between 7 and 100 and 1,000 horse every year, that I was going to realistically break something at some point. And you'd go a period of time where you might not break anything for 2 years. You think, God, this, you know, and then you break something. Well, I was kind of due that.
Law of averages.
Yeah, I was kind of due that, but it didn't. It didn't bother me. I got good at coping with it. I knew the risks. I knew it was dangerous. It's all a calculated risk, and how you cope with that risk.
So that's the body and bones. What about the head?
I got concussed at Uttoxeter the Saturday before the 1997 Grand National, of a horse of Martin Pipes called Strong Tell. He fell through a wing or whatever down the back in Uttoxeter, and I missed the 1997 Grand National. At the time, it was I was concussed. I was out unconscious for like 2.5 minutes or something, and I had 3 weeks off, and that was the last time that I ever let myself be concussed.
1997, last time you ever let yourself be concussed. Do you have a choice in the matter?
I look. A lot of people say to me, you know, about concussion and all that. I genuinely believe that I could control concussion. I know that sounds nuts. Scientists, doctors, and all that say that's not possible. Officially, 1997 was the last time I was officially concussed.
Wait, you're being pummeled towards the ground.
It's a hard thing to say.
How do you avoid concussion?
Because the moment you close your eyes, you're gone. So I banged my head a lot of times when I hit the ground, and I thought, do not close your eyes. And I could lie on the ground for 2 or 3 minutes, and the doctor would be there, and you'd know not to get up, but you'd be sore, you'd be holding your leg, your knee, or whatever, because you know, well, if you go up, you won't stand. And I know for a fact that, well, 1997 was the last time I was officially
Is this the
concussed.
theory of concussion according to AP McCoy, or is there kind of medical?
No, that's a theory of
behind this?
concussion according to AP McCoy.
Don't close your
Everyone's
eyes
different.
and you won't be concussed.
Not don't close your eyes, but you have to.
Like not succumb to
and
it.
people will say to you, you can't have the choice no matter if you bang your head that hard. You obviously never banged your head that hard. I banged my head hard. I know for a fact I banged my head hard. I rode some days when when it was close. I rode a winner in Cheltenham and Alberta's run. I got a fall in the wrist beforehand, and I think I was supposed to drop him in, and I made the run, and he won. You know, but at the time when I was going out to ride him, I was actually okay when I got to the start, but at the time Cheltenham was a blur.
Wow.
So it was, but it's not something I'm proud of, but it was something that I couldn't help myself. You know, so can you control concussion? Most people would say no, doctors would say no, but 1997 was the last time I concussed, so make what you want. Officially. Right, let's move on to horses. Favourite horse of your whole career? Synchronized was my favourite horse in my whole career, because for a lot of reasons. I got a spare ride in his mother at the 1996 Punchestown Festival. She actually ran the day before. Charlie Swan rode her, and she ran the following day. She ran 2 days in a row in Punchestown, and Charlie must have ridden her really badly, because she finished like 9th or 10th, and I got a spare riding her the next day, and Frank Berry, who's JP's race manager, trained her at the time, and I obviously wasn't riding for him, but I got a spare riding her and she won, and my Asta won, and however long, 8 years later, I started riding for JP, and my Synchronized was my Asta's foal. He was by Sadler's Wells, so not really bred to be a Gold Cup horse, but you know, so there was a lot of history with Synchronized. You know, he won a Midlands Grand National, then he won a Welsh Grand National, he won a Lexus, and then he won the Cheltenham Gold Cup. And you know, for someone like JP and Noreen, who all they want to do is try and win the Cheltenham Gold Cup, or buy a horse to win the Cheltenham Gold Cup, and they basically Noreen bred him a Gold Cup winner. So there was a lot of fulfillment in that, and it was, you know, I'd been employed to be their jockey, and I was the first time I suppose I felt real fulfillment in I'd done what I was employed to do. And
forget ability on the track, was there ever a horse in your career who you just fell in love with because of their personality or their character, or they were really difficult to win with, say?
There was a few horses that were just different. You know, Cypher Malta was a very different horse. Never got to fulfill what he could have done because of injuries, but he was a beautiful horse, beautiful. He looked at you, he had presence, he had, you know, he was quite shy, he was standoffish, but he had it all. Black Jack Ketchum, I often said, was the sort of horse you could bring into your sitting room for a cup of tea, you know, and he'd have come in and stood there, but he really talented. And there was other little horse that I liked riding. I actually really enjoyed riding Dino's Beano, even though a lot of people thought that I didn't like him and I was really hard on him and aggressive on him, but he was a challenge every day he went out, and I liked him. And then there was other little horses that weren't that good, but I liked riding them every day. There was a little horse that John Joe was called Milo, who was, you know, you could put your kid on him and he'd have taken him to the, you know, he'd wander down to the start again and got to do this again, you know. But he was a cool little horse, and he'd win a couple of races every year. Just had a real good attitude, good way about him, and yeah, I enjoyed riding him.
And I think that's one of the strangest things about the national hunt world, is that the people involved, be it trainers, jockeys, owners, stable staff, they really love their horses. They have a really strong passion, strong bond with them, yet they take them there knowing that there's a chance that the horses won't come back. Was there ever one that really broke your heart in that regard?
synchronised broke my heart. So it did. Really, you know, because I remember when he fell in the Grand National after the Gold Cup, after he won the Gold Cup, he ran the Grand National and he fell at Beecher's Brook, and I could remember him galloping off, and I was lying on the ground, I broke my ribs and whatever, and I was in so much pain, but I can remember galloping off thinking, oh well, at least the horse is okay. That's the main thing. And then I was in with the doctor in his jeep going back to the ambulance room, and I could hear it coming over his radio that Synchronised had been injured and that he might have to be euthanized. And it's just like, it actually made me cry now thinking about it. It's the one day that I could have that as a jockey, as you know, with a neck going with a horse, that if I could change, I would. You know, so yeah, so I cried the whole way. I cried literally. I cried nearly thinking about it now because he was a cool little horse, and so I'd say he gave me the best day and the worst day.
Okay. Well, don't cry before I make
I'll
you
try not to
cry. Let's change the subject. Any horse in
Sure.
any period of history, either before you started riding, whilst you were riding, or after you finished riding, that you wish you could have ridden?
I'd like to have ridden Desert Orchid.
Oh,
So
yeah?
I would have, yeah, because I think just I was really getting into racing or wanting to be a jockey, and you know, around that time of 1980, you know, 88, 87, 89, 90, whenever he was winning King George's and that, you know, I'd like to have ridden him. He was flamboyant, he was, you know, exhilarant, he jumped, he was brilliant to watch, you know, he was obviously grey, everyone knew about him. So I'd like to have ridden him. I'd probably like to have ridden Shergar as well.
Okay.
Just because it was Shergar, no one knows where he went afterwards.
I was the one who rode him. Still don't know where he went then.
Yeah, so yeah, but Desert Orchid and jump, I'd love to have ridden Desert Orchid.
And if there's one running now who you wish you'd get your
I'd like to ride Champ. I'd like to ride Champ in
Sure
the
you
Gold
would.
Cup, obviously.
champ?
Yeah, so I'm not sure I'd be wanted, but I'd like to ride him. And obviously
Why
William.
don't you? Why don't you make a big glorious comeback?
As you
One
rightly
race
point,
only.
as you rightly point out, weight, age,
You've got 3 weeks.
weight, age, being past it and all that, you know, and just, yeah, it's not going to happen. But I like to ride Champ, and obviously Willie's horse Monkfish looks like he's got all, you know, he looks like he's a future Gold Cup horse. So.
Imagine that though. Racing needs a good news story. It needs a exciting thing to really.
You'd do anything just so you
Catch
wouldn't have to
on to.
stand beside me, wouldn't you?
Where's our,
wouldn't have to worry about. You wouldn't have to worry about social distancing there. Yeah. No, I actually would love to ride Champ. You know, I really would. If I could, if someone said to me that it's okay to go and have a go one day, I'd do it in a flash.
Come on.
I'd be slightly concerned about making a show of myself, and do you know, it's one of those things that I'm not sure how I would cope if we didn't win.
Okay.
And the last 2 horses that I have ridden publicly have both won, and albeit they may have been in charity races or whatever, but I did say the last time that I rode in the Curragh, when not blowing my own trumpet, but when I beat a field of champions, that I was never going to be seen again. So the riding career is over, I think.
Yeah, but look at Frankie Dettori. He's turned 50. Still
Actually, I
going
haven't
strong.
beaten him. I haven't beaten him for a while.
Okay.
Beaten him a couple of times. Beat him in a match race one day in Sandland. I wouldn't mind another go. When he retires, I might come back and give him another go. But no, it's over.
Well,
Sadly.
never say never. Never say never. You heard it here first, guys. We might see the return to the saddle.
I doubt
Sir AP
it.
McCoy.